The safety pins are about linking us all together. So no matter what's going on in the world, really staying connected and joyous.
It's the longest road in this big old country. And we're coming to your town, Highway 20. Bringing color, sharing stories. It's all about connecting US 20.
Sticking their toes into the Atlantic, and then they'll end up in the Pacific. All right, Highway 20. Is that the Atlantic?
Here we are.
Atlantic, I love it. All right, Highway 20. See that whale in the background? See that whale?
Hi, I'm Sal Strom. I'm the creator of Connecting US 20. This project began when I was getting my master's in Provincetown on the tip of Cape Cod on the Atlantic Ocean. Two of my classmates had art studios on Highway 20. I was like, wait a minute, I live on Highway 20. After a little bit of research, I found that Highway 20 is the longest continuous highway in the United States. It goes through 12 states and begins at Kenmore Square.
Then it stretches 3,365 miles across the United States, going through some of the most wonderful little towns in the United States.
Yes.
After I realized this, I knew that I wanted to do a project that started in Boston and went to Newport, Oregon. And for the project, I knew I wanted it to relate to art, but I didn't have any idea what it was at the moment. So my co-creator and partner, Lynn Moyers, and I started brainstorming at how we could do an event every other day for the month of May across Highway 20. I was at an art residency when my mom was dying of Alzheimer's. I would call her each night and read Catholic prayers to her, and then I'd have her repeat after me. During that time, she was really scared. So I would stay on the phone with her, and I'd start putting safety pins together. I'd say, Mom, don't worry, I'm still here. I'm just, doing my thing. And then about every 10 minutes or so, I'd say, Mom, just so you know, I'm still here. And I would do that for an hour or two. And then after I got done doing that, I would say, Mom, good night. Don't let the bed bugs bite. And if they do, squeeze them tight so they don't bite the next night. And then our phone call would end with her laughing. I was trying to figure out, what are these safety pins really about? By putting these safety pins together, it really brought a sense of linking people together and how no matter how different we are, we can really connect on this simple little thing. And so I thought of Connecting US 20, one small safety pin at a time.
Putting the safety pins together became the first part of a three-part art event. At each event, we asked our guests to link safety pins together into chains or whatever else they chose to create. We encouraged our guests to take their safety pin chains home with them as a remembrance of the event. Many took extra chains from previous towns as gifts for relatives or for a special friend. There are hundreds of these safety pin chains across the U.S. now, and we plan to spread many more. In the second part of the event, we would have them adorn books. This was something a lot of people weren't too sure about, but once they got into it, they created some really beautiful artwork. And then the third part was when we had the cheesecloth toss, right at the end. That was the most interactive part of the event and the one that generated the most smiles and the biggest laughs. Over the course of a few months, Sal dyed some 250 yards of cheesecloth into a multitude of different colors. Those 2 bins of colored cheesecloth traveled across the country with us. We used the cheesecloth at different points in each event, the first of which is when we asked our guests to adorn books.
To adorn a book, first they'd put all this cheesecloth in these tubs we brought, and then they would pick a book that of their choosing, a writer they knew or some book they just really loved reading, and then they would decorate the books in the tubs. And then I would ask them why they chose the color. Did they choose the color first or the book first?
I picked this book in specific because I'm really interested in the civil rights movement, and I really enjoy learning about Black history and learning about different, specifically crime on Black people and the whole Black community, and I'm really interested in social change as well.
And what's the name of the book?
Emmett Till, the murder that shocked the world and propelled the civil rights movement.
So I chose Harry Potter because when I first moved to the U.S., my teacher suggested that they were really popular and fun to read, and I was really struggling with English. So she told me to pick up these books, and they really helped me learn English. And I picked the colors because Harry Potter is really like mystical and magical, and when I think of green, I just think of like forest, and that's why I chose it. And then my pins are the colors of Venezuela. They're going through a lot of political and economical turmoil. So they inspired me, and I was thinking about them the entire time.
I don't know, I just kind of grabbed what colors I liked and saw if they looked good together.
I thought maybe you did it because your shirt's that color too.
I didn't think of that.
And what's your name?
Evelyn.
So these became temporary installations. They would have all the books done, and Lynn would take photos of them. He'd take photos of them individually, and then he'd take photos of them as a group, and then we'd take them all apart.
The cheesecloth from the books then joined any leftover cheesecloth in the middle of the floor in a large pile where it would then be used for the cheesecloth toss, which was the part of the event that created the most laughs and the part that the people really had the most fun with.
Does that bother you? Yes, it bothers you? Okay, I'll do somebody else then. Yes. So grab all the fabric you can and we'll throw it up in the air. Toss it up in the air. I always say throw up, that doesn't sound so. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Woo! And we have to move the green. Standing further on the buttons of green. You're not the hunting. Oh, I can't. That's okay, as long as you don't just look like I'm doing the library. It does. It does. Uh-oh. Kimber, you could, yeah.
Ah.
Keep going.
Here she comes, she's emerging.
Yay!
At the close of each event, we'd have the participants in that library say hello to the next library we were going to visit.
Hello, West Winfield from Raleigh, Massachusetts. Hello, Erie from Casanova. After we got done at the libraries, we'd go back to the hotel, and I would start cutting out the books in Photoshop. I'd pour black paint behind them. And as I did, I was just blown away by just the look of like flowers. They reminded me of the 60s and flower power. I just thought they were so beautiful.
The individual flower power images that Sal created then became part of a composite or composites that she made for all the libraries we visited. These composites then became the main attraction of the exhibit that we had at the Newport Visual Arts Center in June 2017.
I can almost smell the sea. Pacific coast is calling me. When we get to Newport, then we're done.
1, 2, 3.
Come to the Visual Arts Center June 9th for the opening of Connecting US 20.
Bringing colors, sharing stories. It's all about connecting US 20.
When I'd be off at my art residencies, I began making the 12 maps. I made these using cheesecloth and all light material because I wanted to make sure that this could be a traveling art show. We could roll up all of these cheesecloth maps and just stick them in the trunk of our car. People really enjoyed that part of it. They always said, wow, I'm so used to not getting to touch anything and I always want to. So I had them lift it up too so they could see the translucent in it because this art's very translucent, and to feel it because to me it feels like snake skin. And I also used safety pins all along Highway 20 because the safety pins were so much a huge part of this project and about linking us all together.
The exhibit in Newport turned out to be quite popular. Over the 22 days that the exhibit was in place, we hosted over 1,000 visitors in the Visual Arts Center. Sal worked at the gallery every one of the 22 days it was open. We set up a table so that folks could connect safety pins like the folks in the libraries had done, and so they could have a chain to take home with them. Sal also came up with a new theme for the cheesecloth toss, which she called Running Through Rainbows. This created lots of smiles, lots of laughs, and some great slow-motion video.
It's the longest road in this big old country, and we're coming to your town, Highway 20, bringing color, sharing stories. It's all about connecting US 20. Starting out in Boston, leaving Kenmore Square to Lee, Massachusetts, to catch the Berkshires there, to Erie, Pennsylvania, such a beautiful lake. Oh, so many stories on this road, for goodness sake, the longest road, this big old country. We're coming to your town on Highway 20. Bringing colors and telling stories. It's all about connecting Highway 20. The next stop is Klein, Idaho, New Carlisle, Indiana, Galena, Illinois, and Fort Dodge, Ohio, Valentine, Nebraska, and Casper in Wyoming. And then we get to Yellowstone and big old Montana. It's the longest road in this big old country. We're coming to your town on Highway 20. We're bringing colors, sharing stories. It's all about connecting the Highway 20. Mountain home in Idaho, time for the home stretch. Burns his offer, stop in Oregon. I can almost smell the sea, Pacific coast is calling me. When we get to Newport, then we're done. It's the longest road in this big old country, and we're coming to your town, Highway 20. Bringing colors, sharing stories. It's all about connecting US 20. Longest road, big old country, Highway 20.